So the Quest 2 specifically for sim racing. I've had a few people ask me in the comments of some of my other videos whether I think the Quest 2 would make a good VR headset specifically for sim racing. And the long and short of it is, no, I don't think it is. But before I tell you exactly why, let's just see what I do like about the Quest 2, because it is a good VR headset. It's a great HMD, and as far as getting VR out to the masses, this is just another step on from the original Quest, which did a great job of getting VR out to the masses then. But this one's come even further. There's some really big improvements. First and foremost is the processor. That XR2 Qualcomm CPU is literally twice as powerful as the previous generation one. So you're going to get vastly improved experiences from a standalone point of view, and also using the Oculus link cable to your PC, it's going to be able to decode the compressed audio and video faster, meaning you should be able to send a bit more over to it and the quality should be a little bit higher. So that's really good. The refresh rate, of course, as well, that will be available soon is 90 Hertz, so a step up from the 72 we had before. So that's all good. The display, the head unit, head mounted display itself is lighter than the previous one, which again is a real bonus. Still not very well balanced, because ultimately there's just a piece of strap around the back of your head and all the weight is at the front, but that can't be helped with an all-in-one, you know, VR headset like this. The battery's there, the CPU's there. It's like having a big mobile phone strapped to your face, isn't it, at the end of the day? But it is lighter. The controllers are really good. They look like they're based on the original CV1 controllers and just tweaked a little bit. And I think the original CV1 controllers are some of the most comfortable out there. Again, this doesn't really apply to sim racing, but we're just talking about the Quest 2 in general at this point. It has Wi-Fi 6, which a lot of people got really excited about, but ultimately it just means greater bandwidth versus Wi-Fi 5. So you can send more data at the same time, so you can have a higher bit rate as far as the compression goes, but the latency is still the same. So you should have a slight improvement in visual fidelity, perhaps less compression artifacting, and an overall improvement in clarity because of that extra bandwidth, but the delay is still going to be there. And of course, the final thing that's so good about the Quest 2 is the price. £299 here in the UK is it is the cheapest VR headset you can buy, as far as I can think of. That's a full, you know, that's a full 6 degrees headset that allows you to, you know, walk around and do everything you can in VR. So yeah, you can't get any better value than £299. But all that said, as sim racers, we don't care about controllers. We don't really even care about Wi-Fi 6. What we do care about is the resolution, the refresh rate, and the latency, or input lag might be another way to describe this. The biggest problem, I think, is that latency, that input lag, because it isn't natively designed to plug into a PC. Well, it is, but it isn't, and you'll know what I mean. For PC VR headsets, we have a USB cable, and then we have a display port, if you've got an old one, an HDMI cable as well. One transmits the audio video, the other transmits all the tracking data, the power and everything else. When we're using the Quest 1 or Quest 2 with the link cable, it's trying to send all that information over just one USB 3 or 3.1 it might be for this Quest 2 port and cable. And to do that, it has to compress the video and the audio to make it small enough to be able to send down that one cable, along with all the tracking data going back and forward, and the power supply and all the other bits and bobs at the same time. And what we lose there is visual fidelity. The image is compressed. If you think of an old YouTube video from 10 years ago, you know, at 480p versus a 4K or 8K video on YouTube right now, you know, we're talking, it's not that big a difference, but that's just the way I'm illustrating the difference in video quality because of compression. You know, the older one just doesn't look as sharp, the detail's lacking, the color probably isn't as saturated, it's just not as good. And that's what happens when you compress an image, you know, or video feed to make it smaller. So it's not going to look as good. And you get little, like in the blacks especially, you'll get artifacting because black doesn't compress very well from what I've seen. So that's not going to be as good. We should still get the 90 hertz, although it isn't, I mean, I'll say it's not available right now. The Quest isn't available right now. So hopefully by the day of release, the 90 hertz will work with the Oculus Link cable. So we should still get the frame rate, but the visual quality will be less. But most important of all is the latency or the input lag. What I'm seeing online so far is a delay of anywhere between sort of, well, this is the best case scenario, between 20 and 30 milliseconds. Whereas if you compare that to a PC VR headset, there's basically less than a millisecond delay. And in a racing game where you need to be, you know, bang on as sharp as you can be, I think that delay is just too much. You know, I'm a DJ. Some of you might have seen some of my videos about DJ equipment. If my audio is delayed between my headphones and my main speakers or my monitor speakers any more than 10 milliseconds, I hear what sounds like an echo, because the headphones get the sound to me first, and then maybe there's a processor delay, an amplifier delay, or even the speaker is too far away. It takes longer for that sound to then get to me. So I hear this in my headphones and then I hear the speakers. That echo, that delay is what makes it incredibly difficult to accurately beat match tracks and mix. And that's at 10 milliseconds. So if we're trying to be on the ball with our race and be as sharp and as responsive as we can be, especially in things like rally games, where your steering inputs are frantic compared to, you know, circuit race basing, you can't have a 20 to 30 millisecond delay. It's just going to make for a poor experience, at least in my opinion. So that's the biggest deal. The Quest 2 has a much higher resolution screen. They say almost 2K per eye. But again, when you're using the link cable or virtual desktop, if you want to go wireless, that resolution is dropped along with the video being compressed. You know, again, to get it over the cable or get it over the Wi-Fi. So you're not getting that nice crisp resolution that the headset's capable of. And probably the last thing, and this is one of the smaller things I suppose, is the audio quality. For me, audio is super important. I can't deal with crap audio. It just does my head in. And of course, the inbuilt speakers in the Quest 2 are terrible by speaker standards. Yes, they function, yes, they make noise, but they don't do it very well. And I'm not a fan of having to put on a headset and then having to put on a pair of over-ear headphones or in-ear headphones. It's more wires, it's more stuff to do when you just want to get in and have a race or stand up and play some VR. So I'm really not a fan of poor inbuilt speakers. Now, for us sim racers, we can just turn the inner audio off and just use whatever we have externally. I've got a sound system here. I would just have it coming out of that and not use the inbuilt speaker. So that's an easy solution. But the biggest deal, the input lag or latency, 20 to 30 milliseconds. And this is, you know, best case scenario. Sorry, this is specifically using Wi-Fi, actually 20 to 30 milliseconds. The Oculus Link cable is less. I should have said that earlier. But it's still greater than the 1 millisecond or sub 1 millisecond that we have for our PC VR headsets. I actually don't know exactly what it is for the link cable. For a moment, I was thinking that was a 20 to 30 milliseconds, but it's not. That's for your Wi-Fi connection. So I should probably have looked it up. In fact, I'll look it up and I'll put it up on the screen now. But yeah, that's the biggest deal, the input latency or input lag, and then the resolution being dropped, the overall visual quality being compressed. You're better off if you've got the extra money getting a proper dedicated PC VR headset like the HP Reverb G2. I've got that on pre-order, as some of you will know. I've got it for 525 quid. So yes, it's £225 more. I mean, you can't get it for that price now. That was a pre-order discount. But I think it's worth it because we're going to have true, you know, 2160 by 2160 resolution. There'll be no input latency, there'll be no video compression, and for me it comes with good audio, which is just a bonus as well. So for me personally, I think the Quest 2 is not the best choice of VR headset for sim racing specifically. If maybe you're into your normal VR as well, see, the thing is, if you've got a PC capable of running VR, you really should use a PC VR headset. The Quest 2 is perfect for what it's designed for, which is standalone VR. And being able to connect to a PC, whilst it's an added bonus, if you've got a PC, I still think right now, I would use a wired PC VR headset over the Quest 2. You know, even ignoring the audio, which is a big deal for me. I just think that latency and the visual compression would annoy me too much. And that would outweigh the benefits of having an all-in-one system. I think an all-in-one system really is for people that don't have a PC capable of running a PC VR headset. And then great, awesome, you're sorted. There's nothing better to buy. Well, in fact, there's nothing else you can buy realistically. So that's perfect. But no, I think for us, especially as sim racers, Quest 2 is not the one to get unless you specifically want to be able to take a VR headset somewhere with you and not need to take a PC, in which case obviously you need it and you want it, go for it. But for the rest of us who are going to be sat static in our rigs racing, PC VR headset's definitely going to be the way to go. At least that's my thoughts on the matter. I thought I'd just share it with you. Hopefully you find it interesting. So yeah, that's it for today. As always, thanks very much for watching, and take it easy.